WR. Well, we're glad he's arrived. We speak of Eamonn McEneaney of Waterford Treasures. Good morning, Eamonn.
Hey, Eamonn.
Good morning, Ollie. Good morning, Mary.
You can hear us loud and clear there, can you?
I can indeed now, yeah.
Looking windswept and interesting this morning.
Yes, windswept, yeah.
Today you're going to talk about, for your virtual tour of Waterford Treasures, pilgrimage, the medieval idea of a holiday. I'm very intrigued.
Exactly, yes. We have two wonderful pilgrim badges here they're 800 years old, they're from the 1200s. Of course, like today, people went off to Knockham, go off to Lourdes, and they bring back little badges with them and little souvenirs. Well, people did exactly the same thing 800 years ago. The big place to go was Jerusalem, but once Jerusalem was lost by the Crusaders, then Rome, and then, of course, Compostela in Spain, the people still go to do the Camino in Spain. And in the Great Parchment book here in the museum, we have a record of our mayor here going twice, Mayor Rice going twice in 1483 and in 1473. And each time he had the permission of the King of England to go because he had to appoint a deputy to manage the city while he was gone. He was very religious, and if people are in Christchurch Cathedral should go in and see his cadaver tomb, which is his tomb, as if he was dead. His corpse was decomposing. It's a very grisly thing. And of course, this was the whole obsession with death and trying to make sure you didn't go to purgatory and that you got out of purgatory as quickly as possible. And that's why people went on pilgrimage. But the badges we have are very, very interesting. One is from France. After the fall of Constantinople, the Christian Crusaders, they stole the relic of the head of St. John the Baptist, Salome and all that from the from the New Testament, and they brought it to France. So whether it was the relic or not, we can't prove. Of course, it was like having a visitor centre or a big museum at the time. People came to these places, and it brought in a lot of money into the town. People from Waterford obviously went out there, because it's the head of St. John the Baptist that we know came from that shrine. They're very, very rare. There's only about 5 or 6 of them in the whole world. And then the other one, sadly, is a very strange and almost a sinister one. It says John killed by the Jews. There was no John in the Bible killed by the Jews. Unfortunately, around this time, Christians, particularly motivated by greed, the fact that the Jews weren't allowed to do anything, so they became money lenders, and if you didn't want to pay your debt, you'd get anti-Jewish thing going on. If a young boy died around Easter, which also coincided with Jewish Passover, they spread stories that the Jews killed young boys to celebrate Passover, and they needed the blood of a young boy. And of course, obviously, if some sex fiend or somebody killed a little boy, they would blame the Jews for this. And this seems to be a pilgrim site in England. There's no other reference. We did an awful lot of research, we couldn't find it, but it's typical. There were lots of these pilgrim sites based on Jews killing children, which is totally unfounded and totally made up thing. And sadly, that went on from the late 1100s, and the last case was in Russia in 1917, when the Pope, President of America, interceded with the last Tsar of Russia to leave off a Jewish man in St. Petersburg, I think it was, because he was accused of killing a Jewish boy to celebrate Christian boy to celebrate Passover. So
anti-Semitism has been going on.
Anti-Semitism was a long time, yeah. So it's very sad.
Just in terms of the pilgrimages and people heading off on them, I mean, obviously there was no Ryanair back then. You'd be gone a long time, I'd imagine, if you were heading off.
That's right. You'd be gone months. Sure, if you went even to Spain, you'd be gone for a month at least, down to Santiago de Compostela. And the idea of the badge was, of course, that everybody knew you were on pilgrimage. You wore ordinary clothes, and they also knew you didn't have a lot of money with you, that you weren't a merchant or a trader carrying money. So the idea of wearing the badge was to robbers and brigands and all sorts of people you might come across. Look, that I'm on a pilgrimage. It'd be a very, you're protected by God and by the Pope while you're on, and by the King while you're on pilgrimage. So you shouldn't be attacked. But that's not to say it didn't happen. But that was the whole idea. And of course, the thing then was to bring back a gift to people as well that you brought back. And of course,
like a stick of rock. It's the old-fashioned equivalent of a stick of rock.
It's the old-fashioned. Yeah, sure, people bring back medals and that from today. Yeah. And from Spain, of course, you brought back the shell from Compostela, the ones that you see.
Indeed,
yeah.
Brilliant stuff, Eamonn.
Okay,
excellent. Have a good weekend.
Talk to you Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.